This episode of the show is brought to you from the Salesman.org HubSpot studio. Welcome to the Social Selling Show with myself, Will Barron, founder of Salesman.org, and the king of social selling, Daniel Disney. Daniel, how's it going, sir?
I'm very good, Will. Excited to be back recording another episode with you and another exciting topic. I know I like to tease the topic when you introduce me in, but today's topic is big. It's big because we're going to be discussing viral content, and it is something that fascinated me for years. So I'm excited to share some thoughts, insights, and some tips around going viral because it's pretty cool, right?
Pretty cool, and I feel like there's an air of mystery around viral. I'm intrigued to find and to uncover from Daniel whether there's frameworks, whether there's strategies, whether it's just luck, whatever it is. I want to get into that on today's episode of the show. So with that said then, Daniel, let me ask you this, just straight up. Is it actually possible, no BS, just truth here, is it actually possible to engineer a viral post like repeatedly?
No. And the biggest names, Will, the biggest names out there on LinkedIn that may be creating great content, getting lots of traction, anyone who you see getting viral posts, truly top level viral posts on LinkedIn, you know, even the best will be lucky to get those once or twice a year. And you can tell people do try. I've tried to engineer consistent viral content, and it's a near on impossibility. If it's achieved, the problem is it tends not to be the right traffic. So there are a few people. Oleg, and I don't know how you pronounce his surname, was, you know, prolific on LinkedIn for a period of years. He was the CTO, I think, of the Daily Mail. And his posts would consistently go, I mean, he built one of the biggest audiences an individual can have, well over 1 million followers. So his posts were essentially going viral, but to no real benefit. There's a lady called Bridget, and again, I don't know her surname. You know, again, she's built a huge audience, over 1 million followers, and you do get those sort of viral numbers. The biggest question, and we'll dig into this today, is good viral versus bad viral. Is it worth having millions of views on your post if it's not going to generate any net income or revenue or sales opportunities? Is it better to have less views but more opportunities? So we'll dig into that a bit today. But unless you've got 1 million followers, it is not possible to engineer viral content.
I think you have said something that's super important here, and especially for any of if we're millennials, what's the group younger than us, Daniel? Is it like Gen Z? Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's Gen Z.
Whoever it is, if you're younger than me and Daniel, being old buggers, right? A lot of people are growing up on YouTube. A lot of people are seeing viral content on YouTube. People getting tens, hundreds of millions of views by doing negative things, by doing stupid things, by doing the Logan Paul, Jake Paul-esque side of things of creating a song that's beating on someone else, and then they do it. And of course, some of this is engineered to go back and forth. But they do that because they're getting advertising revenue from YouTube. YouTube has ads that go to the individuals. So they are monetizing the viral nature of things. So sometimes on YouTube, and again, kids are growing up on this. I'm consume loads of YouTube content, so I'm privy to it as well. There is value in, even if it's a negative video, getting 10 million views, that's probably at 15, 20 grand in your back pocket. On LinkedIn, we need to go a step removed in that a viral post, as Daniel's saying there, that gets a million views or gets hundreds of thousands of views and thousands of comments, if it doesn't drive traffic and attention to the product or service that you sell, it's all not quite, but it's almost pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll give you a real example of this, Will, that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you remember the baked beans on Weetabix tweet that went viral for Weetabix, and then all these other big brands. There was this big thread, and it was hilarious. Now, I reshared that on LinkedIn, and it went viral for me. I had nearly 750,000 views, something like 12,000 likes, really big numbers. But it has generated me to date no business because it doesn't talk about my LinkedIn training. It doesn't talk about my speaking. It doesn't in any way give the right value to the right type of prospects. Now, I have created posts about LinkedIn with tips about LinkedIn that might generate a tiny fraction of that type of engagement, but they'll generate a lot more business from it. So yes, viral doesn't guarantee success, but if you can get them both together and create right content that does go viral, and I've got examples of that, then yeah, that absolutely can, generate good business on LinkedIn. Different to the ad revenue you'd get from YouTube. Obviously, it's a lot more B2B based, but you can create good viral content that does generate you business.
Sure. And as you teased on a previous episode, maybe some of this will change on LinkedIn in the medium future if they do start monetizing posts and paying content creators for their work. Maybe some of my opinions on this will change at that point. But right now, you're spot on. We're creating content to drive thought leadership, to drive attention, to drive lead generation towards our product and services. So with that said, then Daniel, do you have an example of a post that you've done that has generated revenue, that has been, even if not mega viral, pretty viral?
Yeah, so I did an article, just one of the sort of easy examples to share. I did an article on LinkedIn about 2 years ago now, and the article was titled "Just Pick Up the Phone," all in capital letters, and it had a sort of a text style meme image with it, which was kind of highlighting salespeople that do anything but pick up the phone and telling the sales manager, "I text them, I'll send them an email, I'll send them another text," because they don't want a phone. Anyway, the whole article was talking about a company I went in to train where the salesperson talked about an opportunity and how they were waiting for a reply to their LinkedIn message. And my response was, why haven't you given them a call? You've done all this great stuff, but you haven't actually tried picking up the phone. It's been a week. You've not heard back from them. Why wouldn't you give them a call? And the whole messaging was slightly different to what a lot of LinkedIn and social selling trainers preach. It was very pro making cold calls or picking up the phone, but it also demonstrated the power of LinkedIn and the effectiveness of it. And that post went viral. I think it had something like 30,000 likes and a couple of 100,000 reads, which is big for LinkedIn and articles. But because it was relevant, because it was engaging, and it was relevant to what I sold, I had a huge amount of inbound leads come from that. Some of them were some of my biggest opportunities back then. I got, at the time, my biggest speaking opportunity, my first international US-based speaking opportunity, a whole host of other business from training and other speaking gigs that all came from that because it was relevant. It was the right type of content for me. Now, I've had posts that weren't as direct do really well, but not translate as well. So yes, if you can try and get that sweet spot of the right content that goes viral, can absolutely generate good business.
Slight side topic here, just for a second, and we'll bring it back to viral content. But do you have any way of attributing leads, revenue, or any other metrics on your social media and social content? Do you have any system in place to track some of this, whether it be, I don't know, the bottom of your article has links to say contact, and each article has a different link, so you know what's driving traffic and attention? Do you monitor or measure any of the revenue attributed to different content or different posts?
So I don't, being completely honest, Will. It's something that could be done. You're absolutely right. For a large company with a good marketing department, you could absolutely create unique links for individual members that tracks it a lot better. For me, it's usually 50-50. 50% of the time, they'll mention the post.
Sure.
In their communication to you in the inbound lead, they will mention what they've read directly. The other 50% of the time, it's usually relatively easy to direct it because I will post something now, and anything that comes in over the next 24 hours before I do my next post is highly likely to be attributed to that. If not, it's something you can ask in the conversation. But you are right. For a large company that has the resources to do so, you could get really technical and actually include trackable links, individual trackable links into posts, into articles, that you'd get a much clearer sort of evidence of people going through to a website. But again, it's not always going to be accurate because they might consume your content, send you a LinkedIn message. They might not follow any links. So there'll be a gray area there.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I don't do a very good job of tracking anything within our organization other than paid ads. Paid ads is a relatively straightforward way, whether it's a paid ad to a live webinar or a training or even a phone call or a consultation. It seems relatively straightforward, but then when you ask the individual in a kind of post sign up interview how they made the decision, how they were influenced, well, they saw an ad, they watched a webinar, they slept on it. They went and added you on LinkedIn. They asked you a question. You didn't respond for 3 days. You got back to them. They watched some podcasts. So it's such a mess. And I'm sure the tracking software, if it isn't available right now, will be more available in the next few years, because every brand is having this problem with attributing where to spend money, time, and resources. So I just wanted to get your kind of what you were proactively or not doing or not doing. Now I'm the same. It's very difficult to track, and so I just ask people after the fact with a kind of an onboarding interview where they found us and where they consume content and where they were influenced to make that purchase. So with that said, then, and we're kind of alluding to it here, that some posts go viral when they should, some go viral when they shouldn't. It's difficult to track revenue on the back of what posts are doing well, what posts are not doing well. It's difficult to track whether the post has got the right audience in front of them. Is there a formula, Daniel, to creating a viral post that drives revenue? Is there a framework to at least attempting to make some of this happen?
So viral content can really boil down to sort of right time, right place. So the only thing you can do is be consistently trying to put out good, well-formatted, value-giving content, and then keeping your ear to the ground and looking for opportunities that might help you create something that goes viral. So look at trending topics, trending hashtags, things that are happening in the world or in the industry that you're in that you might be able to integrate with your content to help it engage more people. But beyond that, it's very hard. Often it comes down, I don't want to say luck, but it is just the right time, right place. Because if you look at a lot of people, the content they put out is great. I've put out content that I think that's going to go viral, and it doesn't. You know, I've tried to engineer it. I've done everything that other people have done. It doesn't guarantee it going viral. So a lot of it comes down to a layer of luck and right timing. So as long as you are putting out good content consistently, then hopefully it's a case of trying to find those right opportunities where you can kind of bring the two together.
For sure. There's a layer of luck here, and this is massively cliche to say, but you do make your own luck. You can't have a post go viral if you don't post on the platform. You can't have a post go viral if, and I guess is the relevant point here as well, you don't get to choose what's going to go viral. The market does. You might think that your content is great, superb. You've got this extra layer of polish. You've done what someone else has done, but better. But that is subjective, and the market gets to choose. Same with sales, same with products, same with business. You're not in control of the end results, the market, and what it has, its thoughts and opinions on things. Have you read the book, Daniel, News Hacking?
I haven't.
So it's an old book, and I think it's, I can't remember the author, but there's a similar book called Guerrilla Marketing. I think they were written in the 90s, and it's basically how to go viral pre-social media, but a lot of it translates to social media as well. And I've just got it on the doc in front of me here. They talk about this framework, and I've pulled it from both of them and combined them just for ease here. And they talk about writing, creating content, producing whatever media for a specific persona. So you're writing to an individual as opposed to a group. Now, if we wanted to write, you and I can comment on this pretty freely, I think. If we wanted to write to American Democrats or Republicans, perhaps those groups, their egos are so wrapped up in, a lot of them, some of the egos are so wrapped up in their identities as being a Democrat or a Republican that you might be able to write to a group there. But typically, you want to write to a persona of Bob, who is this age, this sex, this location, has these problems, and you want to get right into the nitty gritty of their world. Now, there's more than one Bob out there, right? There's more than one Dave, whoever we're writing towards. And what happens is those are the spark. Those are the individuals that really comment, share, repurpose the content very quickly. And then it gets into the people who are, well, I'm kind of like this person. I've got this little bit of the conversation down. I've got this trait, and then it expands outwards. But you need that little element of a spark, which is so specific to an individual persona that gets all this going. Then we're going to try to, if possible, and I've done this, some of our most viral videos on YouTube. So we've had videos that have done like 600,000 views, a couple 100,000 views. They've all typically been related to something that's going on in that moment in time. I think it's very difficult to create viral content on a subject that's evergreen. To create, and you did it there with your, I guess it was somewhat timely, your post, the anecdote of pick up the phone. It was timely in that there's this turbulence in the sales industry where social selling clearly works, picking up the phone clearly works. So it is somewhat timely, but I like people to go for even more timely than that, of not necessarily what has Britney Spears done this week that I can comment on, which is the whole news hacking idea. And you just piggyback on that over and over and over until your audience is big enough that you are the news. But perhaps what's going on in politics, what's going on in the Mars rover, whatever it is, these big one-off events, you can always put a sales spin on this, which will be useful for the audience. Include a person in the writing. Again, we covered that one. And pick a side. I think this is really important as well. So you kind of, maybe you're disproving some of these rules here, Daniel, because you picked both sides with your anecdote about pick up the phone. But typically, you want to pick something that's somewhat diversive, and you want to pick one side or the other, even if you agree that the correct answer most of the time is the grey bit in the middle. Perhaps your title, the beginning of the post, is one way or the other, and then you can juxtapose, you can play devil's advocate within the article, the post, the content, the video itself, and come to a more reasonable conclusion. And then the final thing that you need to do, and I'm interested in how you would do this on LinkedIn, is seed the traffic. So if I create a YouTube video that I think is going to do well, I'll put it out on social media. I'll post link to it on LinkedIn. I'll put it in front of our email audience. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll comment. I'll link it in other places. I'll seed that piece of content just to give it that best chance of igniting and getting going in the first place. We've never really had any content that didn't just go live and do well within the first few days. I've never had a post that I did a year ago that popped up and did well. So yeah, how would you, I know I'm just throwing a lot at you in the audience there, Daniel, but how would you seed content on LinkedIn? If you think you've got something special, it's better than all your usual posts and all the caveats that I put in earlier on in the show of you do get to choose the success the market does and all that. How would you start to seed that content and get people in front of it and hopefully spark that little bit of virality at the very beginning of its genesis?
Really good point, Will, and everything you've just said is absolute solid gold. In terms of the seeding bit, it's all about how you dress it up. So if you've got an idea, if you've got a concept, you've got a bit of content, something you've written or you've got in your brain that you think could go viral, then you need to make sure you dress it up the right way. I have seen amazing articles and posts bomb because they weren't written the right way, they weren't put out there in an exciting way. So you need to dress it up the right way. And that can be done, as you say, looking at things that are happening in the world and trying to integrate that together. The other thing you can do is look for how you might be able to amplify its reach when you post it. So that might include, Will, trying to get other influential people to engage in it and reshare it, try to get it shared out in front of bigger audiences. If I create an article today and it goes to my 70,000 followers, it's going to do X engagement. If I then reshare that on the daily sales to the 600,000, then it's going to reach even more. So there are little things you might be able to do to help gamify that.
Is there anything that we can do when we perhaps don't have your audience, right? And where I'm going here is clearly LinkedIn pods. Where is the gray area between the and tell me if they are effective or ineffective, between a LinkedIn pod, which for anyone who's unfamiliar is a group of individuals that have got together and will comment, share, and like on each other's posts to get that initial bit of engagement. How do we get perhaps some of the benefit of that without a formal arrangement, which is clearly just manipulating the system?
Well, don't forget, Will, I mean, I have the luxury of having that audience, but I grew it. So you could grow your own big audience that you can then share content to. But I don't just share my own content, so I share other people's content. So if you can build relationships with those people, then you may have an opportunity to get your content out to them. So don't think it's, if you don't have it, you're at a disadvantage. You just need to find people that are influential in your industry and sector and then build those relationships. It takes a little bit of work, but it can be well worth it in the long term. But then obviously, going back to it, why not build your own community and your own audience that you can then amplify your content through? But there'll be tons of different platforms. It might be an influencer, it might be a page, it might be a news channel, it might be an email list, anything you can do to get your content in front of more eyes. But we've talked about this in one of the previous episodes, Will. The algorithm isn't sort of aligned now to early engagement. So it's not just about those initial likes, it's about overall views and time spent on that post. So the whole pod thing isn't as relevant. And we talked a bit about that before, but it's overall eyes. And all you're trying to do is get as many people to see your content. What can help drive it further is engagement. So views are one thing, but if you want to drive more views, you want more people liking, commenting, and sharing it, because when they like, comment, and share, their audience sees it, and you can kind of get that snowball effect. If you can get more people commenting, so maybe create something where you ask for engagement. So create debate, ask a question. I might do a post, Will, here are my top 10 LinkedIn tips for 2021. And at the end of it, I'm going to say, right, what would you add to this list? And everyone who wants to be seen as a LinkedIn expert or LinkedIn guru is going to start contributing. When they contribute, their audience is going to see that post and they're going to want to contribute, and you get that snowball effect. So if you can drive engagement, you can drive further reach. So it's just looking for those little things. What I will say before I finish, you can't do this every time. So we talked about trying to repeat viral content. If you do something viral, that does not mean if you do it again, it's going to go viral again. So all these tips might help you get one viral post, but don't fall in the trap of desperately trying to make every post of yours go viral by constantly following that same formula, because it won't work on a repeat basis. I can tell you that from experience and from, consistent observation.
I'll add another layer of that, which I know works very well on YouTube. I don't know how well it would work on LinkedIn. It would work perhaps better on a LinkedIn viral article than a viral post. But you should try the best you can to snowball your viral content. If you have a great post or article that goes out today, do a part 2 tomorrow, and it's probably not going to be as big as what it was the first time. But you can, especially with an article, add a link to the next post at the bottom of the article, so you can get people going from one to the other to the other. And if you can build a bit of a thread, and it's gonna have a lifetime at some point, then that drives traffic from the first article to multiple, which then is going to add all kinds of algorithmic benefits to you, I'm sure, on LinkedIn. But I know on YouTube, any LinkedIn, any YouTube trainer, anyone with expertise in the space, this is how channels go viral. You have one video that pops. Who the heck knows why it pops? For whatever reason, it does really well. Well, YouTube will then, I keep getting the two between, clearly I've got both of them top of mind. The YouTube algorithm will then show related videos next to it. So you need to create as related a video, as in exactly the same title, part 2, or the 24-hour update, or whatever it is, so that you get that link. Because YouTube, algorithmic-wise, works very similar to LinkedIn in that they're not concerned about clicks, they're not concerned, or they are, but they're less concerned about clicks, they're more concerned about the amount of watch time on a video. If lots of people watch a video for 5 seconds, that's not as viral. There's going to be less opportunity for viral versus a few people who watch the video all the way through, because YouTube gets to serve more and more ads. And I'm sure LinkedIn will move more and more towards this as we get more and more ads on the platform as well. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Don't just copy the same post and paste it the next week and expect the same results. But if you do have a post that goes viral, and again, this is probably on LinkedIn more appropriate for an article, which has a bit more of a lifetime, link to the next one and see if you can drive some of that traffic across multiple pieces of content, multiple assets, just to squeeze as much as you can from that original bit of virality.
I completely agree. And if you go into my content, you'll see I do that in all of my articles. I'll say, if you enjoyed this post, here are several others that you can read. And I see huge spikes in them every time I publish a new article. So it does work on LinkedIn as well.
Cool. Okay, so final thing on this. We've got a gun to both our heads, Daniel. Well, probably a gun to your head. And then hopefully it's not me holding it. But there's a gun to your head, mate. Because I'm asking you this question. You've got to create a viral piece of content today. You got to do your best job. Otherwise, we're gonna blow your brains out. What would you do? A post? Would you do an article? Would you do a LinkedIn story? Would you do a LinkedIn live? What would be in the content itself? What would you, if you had to do it today? All kinds of terrible things are going to happen if you don't. What would you do to have the best chance of success? Talk me through that process.
I love questions like this, Will. Put me on the spot and get me to really flex my LinkedIn social selling muscles. Honestly, it would be a motivational quote or a meme. Because right now, both of those are very easy go-to viral-esque forms of content. Motivational quotes do very, very well. So finding a good one that perhaps hasn't been shared as much, but really packs a punch, one that you read and you think, oh yes, that's a good quote. But then from a meme perspective, if you can make an industry relevant meme, in a popular format, then again, it can do very well. I did one, Will, that went viral recently, which was, I don't know if you've seen this meme. It's the Friends one where Phoebe's trying to teach Joey something, and you kind of go through back and forth. And my one was send a nice LinkedIn message, and then send a nice LinkedIn message, and Joey says send a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And again, it did very well. So memes are a nice humorous way to sort of put across a relevant message, or motivational quotes appeal to mass audiences. That would be what I would do. Now, the conversion of those may not be massive compared to an article or a video, but it is a lot more trickier to make an article or video go viral. You really have to have something very, very good to bring to the table. If I was to do a video and you had a gun to my head and I had to make a video go viral, I would probably try and interview someone very big or relevant in my space, and talk about something, as you say, that is very relevant at the time. But go to quote or meme.
Well, there's the viral video. There's you, there's Oprah and there's a gun to your head at the side of the video and you're asking really awkward, inappropriate questions. And Oprah's like, what the hell is happening? There's the viral video. We've got this nailed, Daniel.
I love it, Will. Let's reach out and let's make it happen.
Okay. Anything else to add to this topic, Daniel, before we move on to the audience questions?
Just a final thought with this. Don't chase viral for the sake of chasing viral. Viral content might make you feel good. It might make you feel really important and really grand, but trust me, the reality is very different. It's vanity metrics. So again, try and do it for the right reasons. Look for the business, not just the sort of stroke of the ego. Viral content can be very effective, but unfortunately, it's a rabbit hole, and you can end up chasing it to sort of no positive end. So yes, if you can have good content go viral, well done, bravo. But it is by no means the sort of end goal, the finish line, or some sort of final marker of success. It is part of many components of LinkedIn and social selling.
If you get turned on by likes and numbers, go and do some stupid stuff on TikTok. That is where you're going to get likes, numbers, attention for dancing topless in a fountain to some stupid song. LinkedIn, we're here for revenue, right? We're here to drive numbers.
That's what social selling's all about.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to some audience questions. If you want a free copy of Daniel's book, he will literally post you a copy himself, the £1 Million LinkedIn Message, then drop a question in the comments below this video, whether you're watching it on LinkedIn, YouTube, or on the podcast. You can email one of us and we'll accept that as well. And so we have a question today from, this goes back to the last video that we did, that went out last week, Daniel, on YouTube versus LinkedIn, names, people's approach to things, and comments and that side of things. This individual, unfortunately, on his YouTube page is called the Herpy One. Hopefully we share his name in a future episode. But he asked the question. So we've got a question for Will. Q for Will. Why when you do a show about producing content, why do you do it on... Right, I'm going to say this again. Maybe we should only accept comments from LinkedIn with someone's name and they've actually wrote it in normal English. Question for Will. Why, when you do a show about producing content and getting attention on LinkedIn, do you focus on YouTube and the podcasts? And he says, P.S. if I'm featured, please donate a copy of the book. I've already got one on Kindle. So you've got a fan there already, Daniel. So perhaps we can do that. We'll do a post on LinkedIn and donate a copy of your book, if that's cool with you. So the reason, and I'm sure Daniel will have a thought on this as well, but the reason that we do the social selling show, the reason that I both focus more perhaps on, we talked about on the show before, the podcasts and the YouTube side of things versus LinkedIn, where Daniel is, you're 100% or 99% in on LinkedIn and building the audience and adding value there. It's very simple for me. The podcasts and YouTube drive direct revenue. So we've got ads in all of that content, right? And so I post a video on YouTube and it does 100 views, 1,000 views, whatever it is, that's driving revenue. If I then have to repurpose it and I do it, I guess, natively for YouTube and then put it on LinkedIn, that's great for me, but LinkedIn doesn't drive that revenue. It drives thought leadership, which might lead to revenue over time. But in answer to your question, young Mr. Herpy One, I will do most of my content for LinkedIn, for YouTube and podcasts, because there's literal direct revenue that comes from there, as opposed to Daniel, who obviously you do your LinkedIn training, keynote speaking, and so that's more native for you on the platform. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, really fair, Will. And you have a business built around podcasts and YouTube, and that's where you put your attention. There is no right or wrong. People have businesses on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever it may be. Obviously, I'm here to bring insights into LinkedIn, and we are going to be working together very soon. I'm going to be coaching you one-on-one to help you utilize LinkedIn more, to generate you more business across the multiple things that you sell. But you are not wrong to be focusing on what you focus on, and actually that helps balance out the insights we provide on the show anyway, because social selling isn't exclusive to LinkedIn. It does include things like YouTube, podcasts, and other social media networks. So Will, what you're doing is working, and I'm excited to work with you very soon and start coaching you to get a bit more from LinkedIn as well.
So that's a great tease. So we're going to be doing a case study. It's going to be going out on a large CRM's branded blog. They're going to be getting attention from it, pushing attention to it as well. I feel like hopefully we win. The scale of the win, I think, is going to be really interesting. So I'm going to do exactly what Daniel tells me, and I'm going to literally have the team wrapped up for the. Let me ask you this, Daniel. I'll put you on the spot slightly. How long do you think from you telling me to do X, Y, Z, 1 to 3, one post a week, a day, whatever you ask from myself and the salesman.org team? How long do you think it is before we see, hopefully, changes, whether it's in numbers, attention, leads, whatever it is? How long do you think that timeline is, approximately?
We will see results after 30 days, and then we will build on those across the first sort of 3 months. That's my sort of target with you, Will.
Yep.
But I'm pretty confident we will see results pretty quickly. And those first 30 days, we should see a big enough change to start talking about.
Good stuff. Well, so in answer to the herpy one, in answer to your question, that's why I've focused on podcasts and YouTube so much so far, because they directly put money in the pockets of salesman.org, the company. But yeah, with Daniel's help, I'm really excited to see what LinkedIn can do and to grow that audience. Because as we've talked about on the show before, I've just flukily got that 7,000 or 8,000 followers on my personal profile. And I think there's a couple hundred on the salesman.org page with no effort, no strategy, nothing. So with Daniel's help, hopefully we can blow this up. And this will be a really good case study to get everyone motivated to social sell and build that audience. So with that, Daniel, anything else to add before we wrap up, mate?
No, another good episode, Will. Really good topic. And just to sort of re-summarize, viral content is nice, but focus on the long game, focus on consistency, focus on giving value, focus on creating content relevant to your target prospects and customers. Viral is just a nice little cherry on top, but don't chase it. Focus on the long game.
Amazing stuff. Well, that was Daniel Disney, the king of social selling. My name is Will Barron. I'm the founder over at salesman.org, and that was the Social Selling Show.
See you next time.